everybody, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Virginia, aka Orange Zeppelin, and I want to thank everybody who is tuning in right now because I am at 300 subs. Today is my hopefully anticipated 300 sub special. It has taken me a little while to get around to it, but I do really appreciate everybody tuning in. I really appreciate everybody's likes and comments because it makes me feel a lot less like I am screaming into the void like a mad woman. So I was suggested a while ago to celebrate my 300 sub special by painting some fan art for the movie 300, and I think that is a fantastic idea because I loved this movie when it came out. This was my favorite movie at some point. I want to say it was maybe 13 or 14 at the time, and I know that I have drawn King Leonidas at some point, maybe multiple times, and all that art just kind of fell into a black hole somewhere. I did find a drawing of me Sparta kicking some guy in the ass, and the context has long been lost to the ages. Actually, this whole drawing spread just screams of me being bored out of my mind during freshman year Latin class. Did I just seriously misspell crouton? Anyway, you might think 300 is an odd choice for a 13, 14-year-old girl's favorite movie, and I would respectfully disagree. It's just a sea of abs. So I'm very excited to use this video as an excuse to watch the movie again because it's been a really long time, and I also haven't read the comic in a hot minute, so this is going to be really fun to revisit as well. Actually, let me do a quick studio tour because it's been a little bit, and I did actually do a ton of reorganizing just yesterday. So you might have seen this in my previous video. I got all my freezes on my whiskey shelf, and at night when I've got the chilly lights turned on and this is all lit up, that looks pretty badass. This is my to-do list, and we're just gonna not look at that right now. We're gonna pretend that doesn't exist. But this is where my painting cart lives, and it is got wheels on the bottom, so all I have to do is roll it on next to my easel, and we've got some very easy setup. And alternatively, it can just roll over here next to my desk. This is the current state of the workstation and the current state of my shelves. I've got an interesting juxtaposition where I've got the Toxic Avenger, Odorous Urungus, but then I've also got my little Sanrio tchotchkes, and I've got my beautiful antique bone china teacup. But you cannot tell me that that isn't an extremely cool teacup. And I actually just moved a bunch of my reference books up here because I moved all of my Dragon Ball manga onto this shelf. This is actually where my Dragon Ball collection used to live a long time ago. And so we've kind of come full circle. I've also got some new items in my collection. I got my beautiful man Zarbon. And then you guys saw Frieza in my last video. And I relocated my altar to Kernunos up here. And I think this looks a lot nicer. Which actually, I used to have my self-portrait sitting on this shelf. I had to move this bookshelf forward a little bit to make room for a power strip, and so it was a little bit precarious how my self-portrait was sitting, so I actually hung it on the other side of my room off of one of those hooks that I got my sword in. Alright, let's get down to business. First of all, I need some plans, and to do some warm-up art, I'm starting by working from the comic itself, just drawing things that inspire me. I'm taking inspiration from the comic's format. It's got that long and wide landscape orientation, and I'm going to be working on a smallish size canvas that is also long and wide. I stumbled on an article online describing the filmmaking approach for 300, and there was a huge visual influence from the comic format itself. There's a lot of long, wide shots, and it's narrow and tight like Thermopylae itself. There's a lot of shots in the movie that are directly taken from comic panels. Man, I gotta draw Xerxes at some point. I love his design. He's very, as the kids say, dripped out. Just add that to the list. This is also a perfect opportunity to make a new image for all my site banners, because I have a really hard time finding any works that look good in that long landscape format unless I pointedly make something that shape. A lot of my art is more portrait formatted, portrait orientation, so I have a hard time finding nice site banner images. And the goal with both the sketches and just for the final painting, I'm going to be real chill and loose. I'm going for, well, okay, chill isn't the right word. Intense is where I'm going for. I'm going for intensity and energy, but not for refinement. So I can definitely be a little messier. I've been overthinking a lot of my art lately, but the last video got me in a better place because, well, I totally overthought that piece also. I did let myself get a little messier with it, and the end result was pretty freaking cool. Now, my excitement about watching the movie was a bit short-lived as I quickly discovered that my DVD apparently died a warrior's death. I'm not an expert on physical media, but I'm pretty sure that this is not supposed to be happening. So I had to go crawling to a streaming service, but I'm just happy to watch this movie again and be reminded why it's an old favorite.
SPARTANS! What is your profession?
Okay, so here is what I've got going on in terms of plans. I sketched this out while watching the movie, and I also printed out a shot from the movie that I really liked. I like this composition. I like this dude's pose in the background, and it also looks a lot like a panel from the comic that I was really vibing with. So I'm kind of combining those two ideas here. And I'm thinking I'm going to be a little bit loose to start, just see where this goes, and then I'll start kind of tightening up my idea as I come along. Now, first things first, we are going to paint the whole canvas, and I am mixing Naples yellow hue and milky white. And then on top of that, I am going to be diluting down some burnt umber and basically doing a sketch of what this whole composition is going to look like. So here I am doing my sketching, so to speak, with the watered down paint. You'll want to do this in a way that it's easy to paint over should you need to fix anything. This is actually crazy easy if you're using oil paint. They are surprisingly cooperative. Acrylic likes to fight back. Definitely don't have to be perfect right now because we are about to make a big ol' mess. I am deliberately adding some drips to the bottom of the canvas, starting with Payne's Gray. I've got the canvas upside down and propped up at an angle because I want to have an interesting direction to the drips. For the most part, I just let the drips do their own thing, but with a small brush, you can gently coax the water in certain directions and make it look spontaneous while still having a little bit of control. I went in again with this crimson, I don't know how to pronounce, and I did the same thing while the other drips were still a little wet, so it followed their path in some places. I like this color a lot. It's a really, really good blood color, but this particular paint isn't very opaque. And that was fine for making the drips, but in terms of coverage, it kind of sucked. So it wasn't great when I was doing the Spartan capes, but it was good for creating splatters. And I like to create splatters by flicking my brush towards the canvas. It goes without saying there's paint splatters on everything in my room. The last painting I did, which you might have seen it for a moment already during the room tour segment, it was of my cat Claudia. And some of you already know, but Claudia passed away early in April. She was almost 17 years old. Her birthday would have been on May 5th. And her brother is now 17 years old. So my mom requested that I do a little painting of her. I made this face the whole time. And I do want to do a really cool painting of her brother at some point once I get some more time. For a lot of my art, I really like pairing bold colors with solid black, and that is absolutely the way to go here. I want powerful contrast, powerful silhouettes, though I'm using a much more earthy color scheme. I'm keeping it all very warm. I'm not doing my usual color strategy. I'll very often focus on complementary colors where whatever main color the figure is, I will do the background on the opposite side of the color wheel. With this painting, I'm being very consistently warm, very sandy, very earthy, and I'm actually not using solid black. My darkest color that I used is that Payne's Gray. So, funny story, unrelated to the video, but last weekend at work, I almost had a certified metalhead moment because we were listening to the song, it was Sanitarium by Metallica, and this older couple came in, and I already was getting a little annoyed with them because the guy did the thing that old people do where they expect the store is going to be something completely different than it is, and they're surprised that it's an anime shop, and they decide they need to argue with me. But anyway, the woman made a comment like, "Oh, you're listening to some death metal," and I'm just like, not gonna do it, not gonna say anything. I was very close, but in my head I was like, it's not death metal, it's thrash. But no, nobody cares. I don't need to pick a fight with this poor woman about metal genres. If you really want to piss off a metalhead, tell them that your favorite metal band is Kiss. They're not even going to argue with you because they're just going to be like throwing up on the ground. They're just crying so hard. You just ruined their whole day. But anyway, this is where I am right now. I would really like to try to finish this today. This is one of those projects where I didn't want to spend like ages and ages on it. I want it to just be like a really fresh, not really overworked painting. So I think a lot of this I'm actually going to consider done. And then it's really these figures here that I'm going to work on. And then I'll see if there's like a little more I need to do around here. Like I've got some spears in the backgrounds that I kind of want to keep fairly light, but I want to make sure they are still reading as spears. So that is going to be my action plan for today. Alright, so I'm feeling a little more happy with Leonidas here. His figures coming together. Still not completely jiving with the hand. Actually, now that I'm looking at that, it's like I don't... something is not... Okay, that needs work. Let's fix something. Because right now it looks like it's just going through his hand, and it's not looking like his fingers are wrapping around it. Okay, I'm still not 100% jiving, but we will get it figured out. Also, didn't mean to cover up the straps when I did his chest. There we go. Not sure why I'm switching to my calm Bob Ross voice. Alright, so my instinct is that I might be finished, but I'm also very tired. So I might actually need to set this aside until tomorrow, look at everything with fresher eyes, and then I can make a decision from there. Alright, so it is the next day. I'm a little more refreshed. I've got my coffee, so my brain works. And I am thinking, well, first of all, that hand, I am still not jiving with the hand, but I have a few gaps on the bottommost part of the canvas, and I think I'm just going to blend everything in. Like I said, I'm not doing like a super realistically, well, not like a super overly rendered piece here, but I don't want to have just those little gaps. So that is going to be all that I do. Actually, I do have, there's some spots in the background that I don't really like. I was trying to use the Naples yellow to patch up something in the background, but when I originally did the background, I was blending the Naples yellow with some white, and so I don't really have the right color thing going on. There's some spots that look not like deliberately aesthetically messy and just look like there was a mistake there that I was trying to fix messy, so I'd like to make that look a little more deliberate. Actually, this corner also I could do a little bit more, because I'm trying to do a thing where it's a little bit unclear if we're looking at a cape or some aesthetic blood splatters here. I'm going to go in a very expressive direction. So I pulled up another one of my reference images, and I don't know what hand I was even trying to draw before, so I am going to be emulating what is actually in this reference. It's a little loose definition of what a hand looks like. I think I was combining a couple of different reference pictures in my head, and that's why I was struggling with the hands there. Also, I didn't really share what my full color assortment looks like. So it's been the Naples yellow. I really like this color. This is very good for just like base coats. I do a lot with skin tones with Naples yellow, and then the burnt umber has been coming to play a lot, and then this shade of crimson. And the brighter parts of the blood I've been doing with the cad red. I've got some warm gray, raw sienna, and then instead of any straight black, I'm actually using Payne's gray, and then very sparingly I've been using milky white, only just a tiny, tiny bit of titanium white. Well, I do really like to do bright white highlights. I think in this particular piece, I want to be very sparing with that. Alright, so I think at this point, just don't look at the hands. That's just the policy for all my art. Don't look too hard about the hands. Don't think about the hands. But I do think this is where I want this painting to be. I'm actually very happy with how this turned out. I say actually as if I had any concern that it wasn't going to turn out good, but sometimes it's not until you've actually finished the painting and it's right in front of you that you're like, damn, that's kind of sick as hell. Okay, I had to reshoot my outro because when I did it earlier, I had like 5 trucks drive by, and then somebody started leaf blowing their yard, and then the construction down the street started, and my cat started screaming. It's like, okay, no, I'm not going to be filming right now. But here, again, is the completed painting. My 300 fan art for my 300 sub special. And again, thank you everybody for tuning in. I have several other videos in the pipeline that I'm hoping to get around to soon once I get a major project finished. Also, July is National Zine Month, and I have several zine ideas that have been percolating in my head that I want to get around to making. It's been a while since I did any zine making. I do have a video on how to make your own zine, and I'd like to do an updated version of that because I have a few parts of my process that have kind of changed. I actually thought National Zine Month was in June, so I'm glad that I'm wrong, because that gives me a little more time to get some stuff done before then. Right now, we are coming up on the super busy season where I work, and so once that comes around, it's going to be very difficult to balance doing art stuff, actually doing work stuff, and then having time to come home and just lie face down on the floor. But I always want to keep doing my best. If you want to see more of my art, you can check out the video description below, and I have links to everywhere where I post my art, and also you can check out my Redbubble page if you want to support the channel by buying cool shirts and stickers. Buy a cool shirt to wear to, you know, work or your next job interview. But again, a big thank you, and I will see you in the next video.